Hi, I'm Will Bruin, and I was just recognized as a Seattle Sounders legend. Now I get to do voice reads for the Sounder at Heart podcast network.
Here we go. Come on! Hey, O'Shan! Let's go!
The Seattle Sounders have done it! MLS Cup winners! The Sounders rule the region! Seattle Sounders is campeón! All creatures great and small.
Rothrock going to collect it. He does just about. Runs into the advertising awning. Low to our left. Ball goes in. Oh, what a cross! And what a goal!
Where's my copy?
I got a bunch of them in the car. I'll get you some.
You're handing them out for free already.
How many
cost on them?
$50.
I'll Venmo you.
This episode of Nos Arietes is sponsored by Full Pull Wines, a Seattle-based wine retailer and proud sponsor of Nos Arietes since 2011. Full Pull was founded in 2009, is based in Seattle, and is owned and operated by longtime Sounders supporters. They offer the best boutique wines of the world to members of their mailing list, with special focus on their home, the Pacific Northwest. Welcome back to another episode of Nos Arietes on the Sounder at Heart podcast network. I am Jeremiah Shan. Joining me on this beautiful Tuesday is my good buddy, Niko Moreno. How's it going, Niko?
Is it beautiful, Jeremiah? Is it?
Yeah, no.
I don't think it's beautiful. I think it's a nice sunny day out, and I had to, mow my lawn to take some frustration out of my body. But it's not beautiful. But I am happy to see you and to once again drop another episode for our phenomenal audience that I'm hoping they are also maybe on the either grieving stages or getting over what happened.
A lot of grieving.
USMNT team, yes.
Well, not even just the U.S. now. This is the thing, is that this was a brutal few days for, I think, North American soccer fans. Like, Canada goes out, Mexico goes out, Ronaldo, I don't know how many fans there are of Ronaldo, but Ronaldo's Portugal goes out, the U.S. national team goes. I thought it was going to be messy going out today. I really did. I was very into that match. I was rooting on Egypt. And then the gut punch for this show, at least, Colombia going down in penalties to Switzerland. What happened there, Niko?
Yeah, that was a brutal punch to the face, to be quite honest. Look, it was one of those games where Colombia was not clinical enough, where your top players did not decide the game for Colombia. I thought that Switzerland did a great job at also absorbing pressure. I thought that they did a good job at defending set pieces. They also put Colombia into some issues in some transition moments. I thought that Saka and his veteran and experienced leadership from central areas were key. I also thought that Nestor Lorenzo, Colombia's head coach, just held on to two extra subs for no reason, really. I guess he was thinking about PKs, but you got to try to win it in 120. If you can't win it in 90, you got to try to win it in the extra 30, and I don't think he did enough to do that. James came off early because he's obviously not the guy that he used to be. I expect more out of Luis Diaz. I thought that unfortunately the team just wasn't good enough. Not because I don't want to spend a lot of time on Colombia, but in a nutshell, the team just wasn't good enough today. I thought that they had more talent and they had a better team to expose this Switzerland team, and they didn't do that. And again, you got to credit the opposition. They did a good job at keeping Colombia at bay and kind of containing a lot of the good things that they do on the flanks. And it was a 0-0 game all the way to PKs, and in PKs is anyone's game. And my boy Cucho Hernandez missed the PK.
I
And
was gutted for him.
I was gutted for him as well. That is my dude, and he missed it, and it was over after that.
Yeah. And so that comes a day after the U.S. national team falls to Belgium in pretty depressing fashion. And not because, at least I guess you could say Colombia was competitive and you can be frustrated that they didn't do more. But the U.S. was atrocious. The U.S. spent the better part of a month looking like a team who was better than this and who could go toe to toe with competent, talented teams. And they never looked up for this game, which is weird because the energy in the stadium was crazy. It was so positive and energetic, and they're saying there may have been 1 million people in downtown yesterday, comparable to the Super Bowl parade. And I believe it. At first when I saw that, I was like, there's just no way. But the more pictures I've looked at, I went down I went to the march, and it was 20 minutes long. It was like 6 blocks. It was crazy. Just so many Pioneer Square, not Pioneer Square, Occidental Square, all 4 sort of like the 2 roads coming in, the 2 roads going out. It was packed. Like, I don't see how you could move in there. Like, so many people downtown. I talked to so many people that just said they went down there to see what it was like. They were going to Pacific Place. They were going to Westlake Park. They were going to International District Chinatown. I mean, they were all over the place, and it was very impressive. And there was just, the Star Spangled Banner, everyone singing, the fighter jets fly over, boom, boom, clap right at the start. Just, I mean, it could not have been more of a just perfect dream of a afternoon. And then almost from the first minute, the U.S. just is shitting the bed. Just horrible defensive play, and it doesn't get better. And they can't really connect passes in dangerous areas. I don't know if it was too much for them or what, but they were doo-doo. They were bad.
Yes. Let me give you a rant that I've almost prepared because I said it maybe 6 times after the game on my broadcast with Fox 13. This was an unrecognizable version of a USMNT team that had displayed some of the most impressive soccer we've seen out of this golden generation at the beginning of the World Cup. I'm not sure if it was a perfect storm of a distraction and a circus surrounding the Florian Balogun situation that on one side inspired and unified, cemented a very broken and inconsistent Belgium team over the tenure of this tournament. And it did the opposite for a USMNT team that looked flat and uninspired and distracted. And perhaps that's what I can only decipher as a factor to excuse, and maybe not excuse, but to explain a team that from minute 1 looked flat. They looked passive. They looked nervous on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And they got outdueled, outperformed, outplayed, challenged,
outcompeted
out of their own stadium. Pochettino said himself that they were never able to connect, and I could not agree more. In no point of this game, in 3 separate occasions where they had the opportunity to restart and settle. The first hydration break where they came off, they looked a little better. They get a equalizer from Tillman on a deflection shot on a free kick. Then they forget that they just scored and they get beat off of basically the kickoff,
Yeah.
and they give up a second goal. Then they had the halftime to once again reset and settle. They come out of that second half a little bit better, and then they go back into a bad nutshell because froze on the ball and has a terrible mistake that is unforgiven. And then finally, with an electric stadium that continue to support him and cheer and try to put some air into the sails of this team. And in none of those occasions, they were able to connect and gain momentum and create tempo in any single way. So it's unexcusable. And I don't use this word often, but it was embarrassing to go out the way they did.
I think embarrassing is a fair summation of it. You know, you look at this game, and I know the hot takes have been basically they are who we thought they were. They just weren't that good, and they got found out. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's at all fair, and I think it actually lets them off the hook because the reality is that this is a team that had played better than this. If they had lost 2-1, or they had lost, they had lost a close game where they were in it, I would say okay. Maybe Belgium is a better team, but that don't let that confuse. They lost to a better team and they played who they are who we thought we were, because that was way worse than what we thought they were. That this is every there's a great article today in Michael Cayley's Substack, and he talks about all the data that goes into this game. And one of the things that data is really good about assessing is not necessarily who's going to win or lose a game. Look, those are all percentages, and things get crazy sometimes when you get into actual results. But what we're usually able to predict is how well a team is going to play against another team, because you have all this data that comes together and it's pretty predictable. And like I said, sometimes the breaks go the way they go, but this was an ass whooping that came out of nowhere. And I think you have to, everyone's saying, oh, the Balogun thing didn't make a difference. The Donald Trump thing didn't make a difference. I'm sorry, but there is a variable somewhere in here that threw this off, and it wasn't the support. Because if this is the thing, if Belgium had been overwhelmed by this moment because it was just so big, you have 65,000 U.S. fans on top of you creating this cauldron. Look, maybe you can use that as an excuse, but when that's all the stuff that's working in the U.S.'s favor, and they just lay this egg. I'm sorry, but I think we have to admit that the Balogun thing was at the best case, a slight distraction, and worst case, maybe a huge distraction that threw everything off, the vibes, the attention, and there was just so much emphasis on Balogun suddenly being available. I don't know, just the fact that he played 90 minutes in this game also felt very there was a point to prove or something. And I don't know. I was very, very disappointed, and I think embarrassed is the right word.
Yeah, look, the individual performances were atrocious. Tim Ream was awful. Matt Freese was awful. Pulisic was uninspiring and a ghost
Awful
for the majority of that game.
Yes.
Just as bad, maybe awful. You could add to that too, because he's supposed to be your best player. He's supposed to be the face of this team. He's supposed to be Captain America. And to be quite honest, he wouldn't be, I don't know, a Thundercat, or he definitely no Avenger. I mean, he nothing. Maybe a Teen Titan. I mean, I don't know what you would call him, but the reality is that he was bad. And overall, that's not what bugs me. And Balogun himself, maybe it was the pressure of everything going on. I'm not sure if there was a pre-game plan, and when you found out that Balogun was going to play this game, then you changed back. I'm just trying to find a reason why this team was so poor. But I also want to credit Rudy Garcia and this Belgium team for maybe using all this as bulletin board material at the simplest way, perhaps. I'm simplifying how good they were, but this was a team that at one point was fighting each other in the second half of the Senegal game. And after this game, and when Lukaku scores, they have synchronized celebrations mimicking the Trump celebration. So if you want to tell me that this team wasn't motivated by everything that happened, then I think you're fucking blind. And the reality is that they did take this upon, is us against them, is the team that's trying to jade us and cheat us out of this, tournament. And if I'm Rudy Garcia, I'm telling them, look, that's what they're doing. They are breaking the rules to make sure that you don't go over to the next round. Are you going to let them do that? And this team came out with their hair on fire from the first minute, something that they had not done all tournament long. All tournament. They have not been this good in the first half until this game. So spare me your opinions on it, because there's no way that a team that decided to do a video in their locker room to make fun of and troll Donald Trump was not at the very least motivated by this whole situation. But beyond that, on the soccer aspect, I thought that Rudy Garcia at that Senegal game, by pulling De Bruyne and Doku, realized that this team had other options on how to play. I thought that Benfica's winger Luka Bacchio was phenomenal in this game instead of Doku. He understood his role better. He wasn't so incised to just do one thing just to get to the end line. I thought that he went in and out of outside and inside channels very well with Castagne on that side. I thought that Trossard in this game was phenomenal. I thought Tillmans was very good. And the one guy that we had been hoping, or at least some of us had been thinking that was going to have a breakout World Cup, because he has not had the best year with Atlanta, but last season in Serie A, he was one of the best strikers in that league. Charles de Ketelare ends up getting a brace, and that's credit to this team to just kind of get those pieces right back. Rudy Garcia has not given up on the Ketelare, although he should have by now, which is crazy, but he continues to play him. He has the ability to insert a spark plug Lukaku to just finish games, and he works every time, whether it is in a leadership aspect, Energizer Bunny, or just scoring goals like he did in this one. So Rudy Garcia really has this team dialed in now, and that's credit to them. Not to mention the fact that they were able to exploit the deficiencies that this U.S. national team had during this game. They realized that they were having issues and being very nervous out of the back end. They pressed higher, they pushed their line of confrontation, and they made it difficult for the U.S. national team. So I do want to credit them, because I don't want to make it all about the USMNT and they had a bad game, because although they did, they had a very good, very strong, and very ready, locked in, as the kids would say, team in the other side of the field.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And I'll just add one more thing. Even if, and I think all the evidence suggests that aside from what people said, that Belgium did use this as motivation. But even if they didn't use it as motivation, at the very least, they did not allow it to become a distraction. And I don't think you can say the same thing for the United States. But let's, beyond the game itself, I do want to talk about some positives that came from not just yesterday, but the whole tournament. And it was genuine. Honestly, I say this from the bottom. It was inspiring. It was so awesome to see Seattle come out the way that it did. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to put the US and like the whole atmosphere around the Belgium game was the highlight. Like there's no, look, you get 1 million people to show up downtown. That's the highlight. But every game felt special. Every game felt different. Every game, the crowd was into it. There were different ethnicities, different diasporas that all came together and just made magic happen at Lumen Field, and it was, it was great. It was every single game was great. Every single time I went there, I was excited to be at the stadium. I was lucky enough to be in the Tribune, which essentially is a outdoor media section, which is in the third deck for the last 4 games. And the reason I did it is even though you didn't have a real workstation, you were in the atmosphere and you could soak it in and you could just feel what was going on there. And it was magical. It was really, really magical. I loved it. And I really do think that there's going to be, I feel like there's legs from this. I think at the very least, you got people to recognize that soccer is different. There's something about soccer that you just don't get with the NFL, that you don't get with the NBA, that you don't get with baseball. And it's this common language that people speak across the world. And that we had that going on in Seattle, that we had people from Bosnia, that we had people from Egypt, that we had people from Iran, that we had Belgians, that we had Australians, that we had Qataris. All these folks were coming to Seattle and enjoying themselves and enjoying the company. And I think Seattle welcomed them with open arms. And it was beautiful. I loved it.
Sounder at Heart has been around in one form or another since 2009. In 2026, though, we make a pretty significant evolution when we go analog. Yes, that's right, in the year of our Lord 2026, we are publishing a real-life magazine. We're calling this thing 4, as in Sounder at Heart 4.0, but we're stylizing it as IV because we absolutely love Roman numeral. And if you want to refer to it as IV, that's cool too. The first issue has a comic book style cover that was hand-drawn by local artist Kevin Newber. Features by Tim Foss, Susie Rance, and Charlie Boehm, a statistical deep dive by Kat Bush, a Q&A with Brian Schmetzer, a column by G. Willow Wilson, and photographs by Noah Reif, Max Aquino, Mike Russell, and Jane Dershowitz. I could not possibly be more proud of the work everyone put into making this, and I think you're going to absolutely love it. If you'd like to get your hands on one of these limited edition copies, we're currently selling them for $15 on our website. Get yours now. Nos Arietes, admittedly, is not exactly known for our spicy takes, but that doesn't mean we want our food to be mild. Spice up your life with Hacks and Ferments. Handcrafted in Georgetown and made with the best local ingredients from across the Pacific Northwest, they specialize in unique small batch fermented hot sauces and vinegars. Hacks and Ferments brings bold flavors and natural fermentation together for something truly special. Whether you're a heat seeker or just looking to elevate your cooking, you'll find something you love at hacksandferments.com. That's HAXANFERMENTS.com. And right now, if you use the code Sounder at Heart, that's all one word, at checkout, you will get a free hot sauce with your order. Again, go to hacksandferments.com, use the code Sounder at Heart at checkout for a free hot sauce with your order. Hacks and Ferments is a proud sponsor of the Sounder at Heart podcast network.
Yes, it was phenomenal to see
Senegal. Sorry, I forgot Senegal.
No, absolutely. That in the Senegal Egypt game was phenomenal. The Senegal Belgium game was phenomenal. The games that Seattle had, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and the U.S. national team, every single game was either a decisive group stage game like you had with Iran and Egypt, or you had a big game because the U.S. men's national team was in town, or there was always something where he made it a compelling game out here in Seattle. And it was great to see the global stage and maybe the global eyeball, if you will, of people just realizing what Seattle provides. And I'm not gonna give him I'm not gonna give him the cloud to mention his name, but what I'm only guessing was a troll reporter from Portland talking about, how perhaps why the U.S. national team lost was because there was this fortress here. That's just fucking lazy narrative. And I can only think it's a troll, because what I did see is that if I am the U.S. Soccer Federation, I'm trying to figure out in which way and how I can make sure that Seattle is one of the places where we play qualifiers, because they were unbelievable here, and the fan base really comes out to support the U.S. men's national team. So I'm just proud that now everyone sees this soccer community that we have here in Seattle specifically, and I couldn't be more proud of that particular aspect of it. And to add to your point, in terms of just the overall gauging and almost making people and casuals fall in love with soccer in general, I think that's the one thing that makes me somewhat say that what this USA team did was a success during this World Cup. Because if anything, they were entertaining. They did win the group. They have scored the most goals they've ever had during a World Cup. And those were objectives, and those objectives were reached. So that's the only reason why I think that there was some success out of what they did this World Cup. And that's the positive, because I like that you said that. We do got to talk about some of the positives. So that is one of the positives, is that between the atmosphere that Seattle as a city provided, and in general, what this U.S. soccer fan base provided, some of the things that this team was able to do on the field was capture the eye of even some of the big networks and some of the personalities in sports that have no idea about soccer. And it was hilarious trying to hear them talk about soccer and act like they knew what they were talking about. But at the very least, they cared enough to talk about it.
Yeah. And I think, there was a thing on Blue Sky that I saw, a guy named Kevin Morris, who I follow, who mostly covers Austin FC, but he mentioned that was there an opportunity missed by the U.S. losing this game? Of course.
Yes.
There was a chance that if they won this game, that they maybe could have had even bigger audiences, that you would have given people even more positive. There's always missed opportunities when you don't win, right? That's the nature of this. But there is truth to, the what we gained was the friends we made along the way, which sounds silly, but is in some ways true in this case, because a lot of people were exposed to soccer and they had a lot of fun watching soccer. It ended badly. That's fair, but they enjoyed the steps to get there too. And that's equally important. If they had fallen flat on their face against Paraguay and then, played uninspiring soccer, I think that's fine. You would have, there wouldn't have been that many positives, but they left people with a lot of positive feelings after a lot of these games. They went out and they hung out with friends. They met new people. They hugged strangers. And I think anytime that happens, there's positives that are going to have legs. And I think the key for Seattle is both the Sounders and also the local leadership here. We're talking city, county, state leaders. I think they have to see what happened here and figure out how to replicate it. I was talking to Casey Keller the other day for a story that will come out in a little bit. And he mentioned, I think a little cynically, he said, they did a good job of cleaning up downtown and now they need to keep it that way. But there's truth to that. There's truth to that, that Seattle was inviting, and it did cut against a lot of the negative images that people have of it. And while I think that the negative images have always been overstated, there's something to be said about maintaining what we've built at the same time. We want this to be a place that people want to come, and we see what happens when they see it. They see Seattle at its best. And I think on the same token, the Sounders need to pick up the baton and take it. And that can't be just going back to business as usual. And I think the first opportunity is this game against Portland. And look, they are running this promotion right now. They calling it 2026, $20.26 gets you a ticket in the stadium, and you'll be assigned to it later. I actually love this promotion. They're trying to get people into Lumen Field for this Timbers game. And that's a good start, but it can't just be a one-off. It has to be continued. We should be doing this kind of stuff for Leagues Cup. We should be doing it for regular season games. This whole thing where we've basically stopped opening the third deck because of creating this sense of scarcity, I think has been really detrimental to the Sounders brand and the way that they reach people. And there needs to be different price points for people to come into games. Sure, you got to have premium spaces, and the premium spaces, I think FIFA showed. Look, I don't love FIFA, but I think they did show when you pay for a premium space, you get a premium experience. And I think that that's a worthwhile thing to remember. And I think FIFA could have done a better job of making tickets affordable, but the Sounders can too. And I think the Sounders need to keep in mind that if you're not creating new fans, your existing fans are just getting older.
I agree. And I feel like if there's a club in MLS that it's going to take advantage of the euphoria and the I don't know, the vibes and the aura, as the kid would call it, that are left from this World Cup, is the Sounders. And look, I have my brother-in-law who is not a sports guy at all. Maybe a little baseball here and there because he likes going to watch the Mariners. But now he's like, hey, Nico, if you see some cheap tickets for the Sounders, man, I'm down to go. You know, I'm hooked now. I've been watching.
There you go.
Mexico has been fun. It's been cool. You know, it's the first World Cup I really watch, and it's, you know, super exciting. I have my neighbor right here, you know, asking me about, you know, where this Christian Roldan, the Sounders guy that didn't play for the U.S. soccer team, you know, like, is he worth watching? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Come watch a game. It'll be fun. So there are people that are, if they're not even casual to watch soccer, they randomly have heard all of this spectrum that has been the World Cup, and they're like, man, I'm intrigued. So I think that I love the fact that the Sounders are always very tactful and understanding on ticket prices and providing certain people for certain experiences. So I think that they will benefit out of this World Cup and get a substantial different demographic of fans going to the stadium.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great. I think that would be an absolute win if we can, because there's a lot of momentum here. And the only way that this is a failure is if we just let it stop. If we just say, we've proven ourselves to the world, now come, and we're done with the work. Like, the work continues. This should be the start of the next era of Seattle, of the Sounders, of everything that's going on here. And if that happens, then this was a huge success. And if it doesn't, then it was a good time. But it would be a huge missed opportunity. And from what I'm seeing, I'm not really worried about that happening, but I do think it's a good message to remind people of. And I'll just say one more thing. I think it was also a reminder of the importance of Lumen Field's location. Because let's be real, part of what made this a magical experience was it being a downtown stadium where you leave and you're just thrown out into a neighborhood, and it's organic, and you can walk there, you can bike there, you can take the train, you can take the boat, you can get there in so many different ways. And this is what makes it different from everywhere else basically everywhere else that the World Cup was being held, is that when it's over, there's just another party. You just go out the door and there are dozens of bars waiting to welcome you. There's street festivals. There's all kinds of things that make you feel like you're in a vibrant place. And I would like to think that the Sounders saw this and they go, okay, look, we get it. Being in Seattle is very important to who we are, and not just who we are, but who we want to be. And I understand there are a lot of reasons to be exploring a potential move. I get it. I understand that there are leverage points here, and I understand that you know you don't know what's going to happen if the Seahawks get sold. Look, these are all valid things, but like, let's keep our eye on the focus here. Keep focused. Being downtown is utterly important and central to who the Sounders are and what they want to be.
Yeah, I'll just add one more thing real quick to that. I mean, look, I have to praise with everything in me the job that Fox 13 did to amplify how every single location in Seattle was just a phenomenal party. I mean, every single town,
Yeah.
right? I mean, everything, right? The Pier and Pioneer and the House of Soccer right there, or right in front of the stadium. I mean, all of it. I mean, it was phenomenal. And to your point, as the night ended on Monday, I talked to a couple from LA, East LA, and they were very drunk, but they were already leaving the stadium. And they were like, you know what we love about Seattle is that we went to like 3 different soccer parties and we walked to it. Like in LA, we'd never be able to go to
Right.
3 different locations. Like there's no way. You go to one and you stay there because you're not making it to the next one. And we started at the Pier. We went to Pioneer Square and watched some of the first early games there. That we ended up at the stadium. So I mean, I love to hear that it is the way the city's set up for this sort of event that really captivated people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we do want to talk a little bit about the Sounders. It sounds like we have some vague sense of news here. Do you have anything you could share about what's going on with the Sounders right now?
Just mainly Alex Roldan. I mean, both you and I were there at the facility. I don't know, but a week ago, but man, I don't know. Days are kind of coming together here. But the last time we were at the facility, Alex Roldan was not in the inner squad scrimmage. When I was walking out, I actually saw him inside, and it sounds like it's the same hip injury that he's been dealing with, and it looks like it could keep him, or at least make him questionable for that first Timbers game. So that's unfortunate. I think Christian Roldan could be questionable as far as I've been hearing, as he has not completely been hasn't quite been ready to and available in its max capacity because of an injury that he picked up with the U.S. national team.
I would think they might give him some time off anyway, but I don't know. Yeah, that's my inclination.
No, and that, I think that's part of it, right? So we'll see what happens, but it definitely feels like at least 2 of those players are not going to be ready. I'm hearing Pedro de la Vega might not be ahead of the game and maybe a little bit behind schedule now. I don't know what happened. I don't know if there was a setback. I'm not sure what's going on, but it sounds like he has slowed down in the amount of time he spends with the team. So the partial training stuff, all of that. He was also not even out there for the inner squad game, and just kind of picking up things around the hallways of the facility. It sounds like maybe they're slowing him down again. So that's I don't know if you want to be concerned about it. Perhaps maybe I am.
I mean, it's a concern. It's not. The reality is that it's not ideal, and he hasn't played in almost a year, and he's, we thought he was going to be back coming right out of the break. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. And look, until he's playing without restrictions, there's going to be a concern. That's natural. I get it. If people are frustrated, it's frustrating. It is. I'm sure it's frustrating for him, and it's hard to rely on a play. He's a DP who you can't rely on is tough. The same reason people are frustrated with Jordan Morris. The same reason people are frustrated with Albert Rusnak right now is that they're not producing at that level. So fingers crossed that Pedro eventually comes back, but until he does, it's going to be something that people are stressing about, and I can't really blame anyone for that. Christian, I feel gutted for, man. To go to make 2 World Cup rosters, to play this, to have 2 games in your home stadium, to have 2 more games in your hometown of LA where he grew up, and to not be able to play in any of them, that's brutal. That's brutal. There's no way to. I can't imagine that he is feeling great emotionally. He, to his credit, has come out to the mix zone after both Seattle games and talked, and he's been a total professional. He has been the exact player you would expect him to be, and the fact that he hasn't been able to get on the field, or that he didn't get on the field now, is really, it's a tragedy. Like, I don't want to overstate it, but it sucks. He doesn't deserve that. He is a player who has been remarkably fit, and the degree to which he has missed games, and he has been extremely available for the most part as a pro. But when he has missed games, it is very rarely, exceptionally rare for him to miss games for a muscle injury, and that he missed 3 matches during 3 of the 5 matches with a muscle injury is just almost too brutal to speak.
I agree. Now, the positives, if you want to see a very small silver lightning, is that Stuart Hawkins has looked not just fit, but very good as a center back. He was next to Yemer Gomez Andrade in the inner squad game. I believe they had another game before that as well. And he's getting raving reviews. He just looks poised on the ball, looks very physical, good on the air duels. He has been dominating the percentage of clearances off of the E18. Hassani Dotson also getting back into this sort of things, because I think he was dealing with some sort of soreness, and he seems to be 100%. It seems like Jordan Morris has looked very good. In the game that you and I were at, I believe he bodies, I want to say it was Jackson Reagan, and then crosses the ball into Paul Rothrock for a goal. So he has looked very good. So there are some positives going into this next part of the season. I am hearing that they are starting to be more aggressive towards some targets in terms of players for the transfer window. They have been in talks. No. Let me rephrase that. They have been doing some heavy scouting and closing in on some targets, and they're getting ready to start some actual conversations with some teams. So we'll see what that looks like and what they're able to get. Have seen already a couple of MLS teams make some moves. So I hear that the Sounders are starting to get a little bit more aggressive in what they need to do in order to bring somebody in this summer window.
Well, that's encouraging. We like to hear that.
Yes, absolutely. I think, look, Craig,
I'd be more excited when we start seeing names associated with it, but I get it.
Yes, and it's coming. I'm doing my very best to very soon.
I'm not putting that on you. Not putting that on you.
Take some stuff out. No, because I really don't think it's going to be, as quickly as you've seen other teams kind of put it together. But if anything, I hear that Craig Weibel is very active in regards to bringing somebody in, and that's a good thing. With the war chest that he has, I'm guessing that he is going to, at the very least, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, get an MLS player and get an abroad player, a player from abroad, if they're able to get him on the right budget. So hopefully a couple of more weapons coming in to this team, and I'm excited for what's ahead. I'm excited to get back into I guess, I am excited to getting back to what we know. I mean, it's been really fun and exciting and amazing to have this World Cup experience, but it does kind of make you feel like, it's a huge world out there, and getting prepped. I tell you this right now, Jeremiah, getting prepped for this many teams is difficult, and trying to figure out names that, they're very difficult. Like the Bosnia Herzegovina and Croatia. I mean, there are some teams out there that are difficult. So I am very happy to get back to what I know, what it comes very natural with MLS and the Sounders.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, shout out to Niko Moreno. I got so many people coming up to me and saying, your boy is on TV. Everyone noticed you. Everyone, you were all over the place, man, and up and down the West Coast. Let's hear, like, let's not sleep on this. Niko Moreno getting into TVs in LA and San Francisco, all over the place. I mean, this was Niko Moreno hitting big time. So I'm very, very. I want to make sure people recognize the level of talent that they are getting to hear on this podcast all the time. So, Niko, good work.
My man, I couldn't do it without Sandra Hart, man. Exploded me out there, baby.
That's what I like to hear.
Powered me through. Absolutely loved it. It was fun. It was exhausting, I'll tell you that. But it definitely was fun. Learned a lot of things. Again, Q13 team is phenomenal, and I did hear the same things. And I'm glad that people that are our audience, get excited, and it's almost like they're family member. When I was walking around the stadium, it kind of felt like they knew me. Hey, man, I'm so proud of you, and it's like they watch me grow, and it's
exactly
amazing. I love our community. I really do.
It's great. No, it's great. Well, awesome. I think that's about what we have, Niko. It's been great catching up with you. We will now. I think we're going to be able to get back to our regular cadence now that the World Cup is not quite. The World Cup is obviously still ongoing, but we're down to one game a day, I believe, from here on out, except for one exception. And more importantly, there's just no games in Seattle. So we have a much more normal schedule that we can adhere to. So I want to say thank you to Niko for all the work you did. I want to give a shout out to Charlie Boehm too. He's been doing amazing work.
Oh, yes.
Ryan Rosenblatt has come in and done some great work. Dave Clark has been doing a lot of World Cup stuff. Sam Fromowitz, Tim Foss, a lot of people doing good work on Sounder at Heart right now. And I just wanted to make sure that people are reading them and that people are recognizing the effort and frankly expense that goes into covering the World Cup. So if you are inclined, I want to encourage you. We're right now in the middle of a membership drive on Sounder at Heart. If you are a listener and you like what we do, please consider becoming a member. The memberships start at just $30 a year, $3 a month. And then if you go up to the $75 a year level, you get access to Discord. And then we have other tiers that you can get in on. But if you just go to Sounder at Heart, you can sign up. And this is honestly, that's what makes this podcast possible. It's what makes the Sounder at Heart podcast network possible. It's what makes all the written content possible. We pay for everything that we produce. This is not a charity. And so hopefully we're not telling people just to write for clips or whatever. So hopefully people appreciate that. They want to support what we're doing. If you have not purchased an issue for the Sounder at Heart magazine, plenty of those are still available. Again, you can do all that stuff at sounderatheart.com. Niko, thanks again for doing this. And people can follow you on. You're still going to be on Q13. You're still on Blue Sky, El Rolo, NW, and of course you're on Soccer Down Here, Lobbing Scorchers. Anything else you want to plug?
Nope, that's it. Of course, our show, and just excited, and be ready. We're gonna come hard and motivated in the second half of the MLS season. I got some giveaways that we might be able to do. I might reach into my own, locker and get some memorabilia to get you guys, going out there, do some giveaways. So I'm excited for what Sounder at Heart is going to be able to do here in the next second part of this MLS season.
Yeah, and I won't say one more. We are going to do a watch party with The Urbanist, which is a fellow reader-supported independent website that covers not sports, but urbanism in the Seattle area. We're going to be doing a watch party with them on July 19th at at Project 9 Brewing up in Maple Leaf. And so if you want to join us there, there's a post about it on the site. You can RSVP, and we'd love to see you. With all that said, I am Jeremiah Shan signing off for Niko Moreno. This is No Sadietas, part of the Sounder at Heart podcast network, and we will catch you next time.
job. Let's go f***ing Sounders.